You're listening to another episode of the Just Go Bike Podcast, powered by RAGBRAI. This is the award-winning podcast where we are all about the culture of cycling, just for the fun of it. Your hosts are Murph from the Murphology Podcast and AP from Parrot Talk. With tales from all over the nation, come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile. And now here is Murph.
Hey, that's me.
And AP.
Hey, that's me. Hey, Murph.
Well, hey, AP. Here we are live, Parrot Talk Studios, and not matching, but close.
We're close. We're both wearing our RAGBRAI crew uniforms.
Yeah.
So in that way, we are matching, but they're not identical shirts.
And the reason we're even describing that, explaining that, is because we are doing video today.
We are doing video today. Yeah. So you can head on over to our YouTube channel and see AP and Murph in video.
In the flesh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I see, if you're listening to this podcast when we recorded it, that the gravel routes have been announced.
That's right. I announced them, well, as we're recording, it was last week.
Okay.
But yes,
Yeah.
recently.
So I went to the RAGBRAI.com website and I couldn't find like a link or any specific place. So if I am gravel curious, want to know the route, where do I go?
Well, you can go to ragbrai.com/route or just the regular website and click on the route tab. And you'll have to go into each and every day that you're interested about.
Oh,
And
I see.
So you click on day one and you'll have to scroll down and you'll see the regular map. You'll see then you'll see very down farther, the gravel route map.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So super easy. Okay.
And then as time goes on, after the route inspection, you'll be able to find the GPS of the route map also on that page, as well as on the Ride with GPS website.
Okay. Do we know, I know that Matt was the person that was on the route, but do we know the quality of the gravel yet? Because I know last year there were days when it was like, this is expert level gravel, this is good for beginner gravel.
We don't know that yet. Some of that will change as time goes on because they do grade the gravel. They may apply
sure.
more gravel. That's something we'll find out on the route inspection. And be sure to tune in to the route inspection coverage because we will have a description every single day of what the gravel is like. I assign it to people that I know who are going to ride on the gravel, and they'll give us a little description.
Yeah.
So we'll find all about it.
And I guess people who do gravel religiously already know this, but even if it's amazing, what do you call it, hero gravel, when route inspection happens, you never know when the city, the county, the state's going to come in and regrade it, maybe make it pretty for vehicles, but
Yeah. If you want a description of what the gravel is like now, Matt did talk about it in our May town hall, which we just posted. It's on the RAGBRAI YouTube channel. So search for RAGBRAI and May town hall. The video will come up and you can listen to Matt describe what the gravel is like now and the distances and what you can expect just in general.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're listening to this podcast between now and the route inspection, which happens the first week of June, or even RAGBRAI, or if it's 3 years down the road and you just want to know what the gravel was like in 2026.
Well, hey, you know what? These routes will still be valid. Like they'll still be fun to ride on even in the future. So,
And Ride with GPS will have them.
Yeah.
Forever.
So you'll be able to ride.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right. So let's get back to business. I guess we were on business, but let's get to a different business.
Okay.
Who do we have on the podcast today?
We have another community bike shop today, and this week it is Audrey from the Iowa City Bike Library.
Yay! I love Audrey. I cannot wait to hear what she has to say. And they have such a cool space.
They do, yeah. This episode, Audrey's going to tell us a little bit about the plans they have to make that space even cooler. So,
What?
I know. And AP, will you remind listeners what Community Gives is all about and who are we benefiting this year?
Yeah, so RAGBRAI Gives is our program every year where we collect donations for a charity. Last year it was Honor Flight. This year it's Iowa's community bike shops. And obviously the Iowa City Bike Library is one of them. It's one of the awesomest examples because they are so involved in the community. We'll hear more about that. But basically community bike shops somehow benefit the community with cycling and provide the ability to cycle to people who may not otherwise have that. And you can find all about it on ragbrai.com/gives. There's also a link to donate there and during your RAGBRAI registration. And I kind of said a whole lot all at once, but you can just go to that website and you can read it all about it. But if you want to learn about some of the other RAGBRAI, if you want to learn more about some of the other community bike shops in Iowa. You can listen. We've been doing podcasts with each and every one of them.
Yep.
So go back and listen because they're all a little bit different in their mission and who they serve. It's pretty cool.
And I love how several of the community bike shops that I interviewed this year have mentioned the Iowa City Bike Library as kind of like their foundation, or they look to them for inspiration, which is pretty cool.
It is
but
cool.
I'll put a link to all the other episodes in our show notes. And also Audrey has been on before, like to give us a full episode about the Iowa City Bike Library. So I'll do that as well. But for now, let's get to that interview with Audrey and the Iowa City Bike Library.
Let's get to it.
We will be right back.
Dear Friday, Toyota says let's put good times in gear with the Tundra, Tacoma, and 4Runner. Want some cool available features? We've got power tailgates to power game days and a trailer backup guide that's the champ of the Ram. Heck, we might even cancel Monday. Toyota trucks. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
Now, back to the show.
A warm welcome back to Audrey Wiedemeyer. How are you, Audrey?
Good. How are you, Murph?
Good. And listeners may remember Audrey and also Kate Wiley. Hello, Kate.
Hi, Murph.
I had these guys on, was that a couple years ago? It was a while ago.
It was last year.
Was it? Okay. Where I got to go into the Iowa City Bike Library and take a tour. And I think you guys were doing like a potluck that night. So it was a really cool experience. So I'm glad to be able to talk to you again with the background of you are part of RAGBRAI Gives this year.
Yes, we are so excited to be one of 6 community bike shops across Iowa that are the beneficiaries.
Obviously, it's a series. I'm doing an episode with each of the bike shops, and we've done quite a few already, which we may touch on during this episode. But I think, it should be obvious if you're called the Iowa City Bike Library where you're located. But will you tell the listeners where you live and how you describe the bike culture?
Yeah, so both Kate and I live in Iowa City. The bike library is located about 2 blocks away from Big Grove in town here. And the bike culture in Iowa City is lively. We have a kind of consortium of all the bike events and happenings on bikeiowacity.com, where it's like all the things that are happening in Johnson County in one place, which is a really, really great resource that the Iowa Area Sports Commission has undertook. And there's anything from very, very beginner, which is what we specialize in, ways to either like learn to ride or get involved with other riders or just meet other people at your skill level, to advanced rides that are road rides or drop rides and everything in between. There's so many group rides. There's a group ride on every night of the week almost, whether it's gravel or mountain bike or kids mountain bike or slow rolls or family rides or our Friday night community ride, Gatos en Ronda, which means cruising cats in Spanish, which is like a 15-mile kind of party pace ride. We have pop-up rides all the time. We have women trans femme bike touring events that happen throughout the year. There's so many ways to get involved in the bike culture in Iowa City.
It really feels like people build their social calendar, at least I do, around the group rides and how I'm cycling each week with my friends.
And what's interesting for me about Iowa City is that you have a major university within your, the area in Iowa City, Johnson County, and that attracts a whole different type of person that may use the Iowa City Bike Library. And what I mean by that is, every nonprofit has talked to us about biking. They almost always share that there are people who need a bicycle because they have to have a bicycle to get to work or wherever they're going, where then you guys have the added bonus of 20-some thousand students who may need a bicycle as well. So that's just an interesting, probably something different than most communities in Iowa.
Yeah, the shop is very aware of when the students are back, because the bikes fly off the floor, especially the checkout bikes, the 6-month rentals for a deposit, all but $50 back.
Mm-hmm.
So students are able to get a bicycle that they're not taking from apartment to apartment, a semester to semester. It's streamlined for them to get them on bikes.
Nice. Very nice.
And to be able to empower students to explore the bike life at that point in their lives, usually it's been a few years since they've gotten their driver's license, and they maybe haven't biked in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And they're realizing that they don't want to have a car in town because of parking and the cost of it. And they are making new friends and want to get outside and enjoy the city. And so to get them hooked on biking again and maybe have it become a lifelong habit, whether they're commuting, which is what we specialize in, or just recreating. We're a really good gateway drug for that.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you're calling it a gateway drug. And so when I had you on last year, we went pretty in depth to all the different things that you do for the or things that you do for Iowa City. But for those that haven't heard, of course, there's a link so you can listen to it, look in our show notes. But I want to kind of cover the basics again in case people haven't heard that episode. So why don't we start out with the Iowa City Bike Library, how it came to be where it is now?
Yeah, so we are 22 years old, and we started in the John Wilson Sporting Goods store, which was kind of like a rundown, dilapidating old building that the city rented to us for $1 a year for the first 10 years. And we didn't have heat or running water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was pretty rugged. And so we started there, and then after 10 years, we moved from building to building for a few years, and then we bought our current shop in 2021, and we've been here for 5 years, and now we have a 7,000 square foot facility of all things bicycling bliss.
Including right outside your building. Like you have like an amazing meet space.
Yeah, we have a courtyard where there's a cycle track. So anybody who comes to Public Bench, which is a program we offer, a free program we offer, you can come in. We'll teach you how to fix your bike. We won't fix it for you. But if you're doing any tunes or maintenance on your bike, you can take it outside and test out any adjustments you've made while you're working on it, or test ride any bikes in this cycle loop, so you don't have to go out onto the street or the sidewalk, especially if you're like a newer rider and you don't want to test ride a bike out in the street. That's really nice. And then it doubles as a gathering space for all of the parties and events and programs we host outdoors. And then just today, we have started a major construction project in the front of our building where we're tearing up all the cracked asphalt and putting in new concrete. So there's a designated place for people to drop off donated bikes. So like a donated drop-off zone. And we're installing some green space, some trees, a micro prairie out in front. So doing streetscape beautification right now, today, this spring.
If we really listen closely, we may be able to hear that construction. So when you look at, you mentioned earlier, commuters were definitely an area that you focus on, and then also new cyclists. So who would you say that you serve? Are you a little bit of everything?
I think the Bike Library is a very unique nonprofit, and that we're able to serve everyone that walks through our doors. So be it a beginner cyclist, a triathlete, someone that needs a bike for transportation, or kids and families. One of the best parts for me about the Bike Library is the way that you interact with your community. You're meeting new bicyclists every time you walk in the door.
And how about when you look at the different types of cyclists? You know, there's plenty of types of cyclists. I mean, we could go into mountain bike or road bike or trails, but you can also get into what you mentioned, you know, people who have never biked, people who are looking for a bike for transportation. You know, we know how much further that can go. But what are some of the programs or services that you offer?
Yeah, so we have a training that we offer to our volunteers so they can work with our patrons called Bike Coach Training. And as a bike coach, you learn to fit someone to a bike, teach someone how to bike that doesn't know how, and can run through the gears and the braking system with someone on their new bike. Since a lot of us never really were taught how to shift, which is something that we noticed was a major kind of like key educational point that was missing when you get a new bike, whether any place you get a bike, whether it's from it's a hand-me-down or from a shop. We really like to go in depth on the braking and the shifting systems. But the third Wednesday of every month, we offer some pretty in-depth education on how to ride a bike. And a lot of parents bring their kids who they're trying to teach how to ride, whether they just can't ride, period, or they're trying to get them off training wheels, all the way up to adults who never learned to ride. We have a pretty diverse population for Iowa, given the university, and we have a lot of immigrants that come to our shop who are looking for transportation options when they're new to town. And so we teach a lot of people who are new to Iowa how to ride. And we think we've done a pretty good job at making people feel comfortable when they're in that vulnerable position as an adult, and making them feel comfortable enough to say, I don't know how to bike. Can you teach me?
I'm picturing some of those people who walk into your facility and say, I'm an adult, I don't know how to bike, how that segues into they learn to ride a bike and they gain so much more freedom to be able to, you know, tool around the city, get to a job, all of that good stuff.
Yeah. And you partner that with, or you couple that with showing them how to do their own maintenance through our public bench program. And that really gives people a boost, whether you know how to ride or not, on being more confident when you are out on the street riding. Knowing how the machine works intimately translates to more confident riding, and that in turn makes you able to ride more. So yeah, between public bench and teaching people to ride, or showing people new tips and tricks that maybe they didn't know before, growing the confidence of each individual rider that comes in our doors is a big component to how we operate.
And quite a few other bike shops, community bike shops, have mentioned public bench or a version of it. Will you kind of tell us how you do it? Because I'm picturing it as a one-on-one, but I could be wrong there.
It's a pretty one-on-one system. What was interesting, so we have a hands-off policy. Audrey developed it when she was coming on as executive director. that makes sure that the person doing the fix is the person who owns the bike is the one doing the fix. So our mechanics or our volunteers will come over, tell you about the fix. They might model it on your bike or a different bike, but they'll always undo the progress so that you're the one getting your hands greasy.
Oh, nice.
As someone that works in front of a computer, I really value that time working with my hands and learning in a different way. And then it's so fun to come back into the shop. Maybe it's your third time at Public Bench, and now you know how to fix a flat tire, and you might be able to help your friend or spread the knowledge, spread the things that you've learned.
Mm-hmm.
The community workspace and learning together is, I think, a big part of why the ties and the friendships that are built at the bike library are so strong.
And not to mention, or maybe you did mention it, but like the confidence that you can gain from, I saw somebody change a flat tire to now I know how to change my own flat tire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really demystifying when you can learn just a few basic things. And it also translates to being able to do your own repairs on things other than bikes as well.
Mm-hmm.
And not feeling nervous about breaking something or messing something up, but understanding that like you can fumble your way through a project and you'll get better at it each time.
Mm-hmm.
We like to tell people like this is definitely a space for failing. And to be open to that idea, because that's how you learn. That's how we learn.
Mm-hmm. Do each of you or either of you have a favorite program or service that you, are part of or you teach people?
My favorite this year is something that Kate came up with.
Wow.
It's called Meals to Wheels. And Kate wrote a grant to get $10,000. And it's just for offering people who come into our shop free racks and panniers for their bike so that they can start hauling more on their bike and, doing their errands, going grocery shopping, getting their backpack off and, on their bike, and so that they don't, they aren't as uncomfortable when they're riding. So yeah, being able to say, oh, you want to load cargo on your bike?
Mm-hmm.
Like here is $150 worth of gear for free. Surprise. It's your birthday. I think that has been the coolest program I've seen unfold in the last year.
Mm-hmm. That's been really exciting as well. I mean, I still always love our Women Trans Fem Night. I think it's such a fun time to be in the space with all of these women, these non-binary folks that are learning together and sharing skills and sharing food, sharing about our lives. It leaves my heart so full every week.
Nice. And how about upcoming events that you want to share with listeners?
We have one very exciting event coming up, Murph. It's on June 13th.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bike and Beats, which happens every year. It's a free concert, but this year it's campaign finale edition. So in June 13th, we are celebrating having raised $1 million for the Bike Library.
$1 million?
$1 million.
Wow.
So a lot of those projects that the campaign funds are already underway, like this concrete project that we mentioned. And we've gone solar, hired a youth bike coordinator, painted the bike skills loop that we discussed as well.
Paid off our mortgage.
Wow.
It's the next chapter of the Bike Library is here, and we're so excited at the investment from our community and local corporations. So June 13th is going to be a big day.
There's going to be a 30 to 50 vendor flea market going on. There's food trucks and beer trucks and vans and fun for the whole family. And yeah, we encourage everybody to bike in. So we're going to need a place to put maybe 1,000 bicycles. So we're shutting down the street.
And you said June 13th, which it looks like it is a Saturday.
June 13th.
And we always have a mister set up, because it's hot. And so I always like to make sure we have the sprinkler system out.
We'll have our brand new bike wash, our rainwater harvested bike wash as well, that the U of I engineering students have helped us develop. So we'll be unveiling a donor acknowledgement sculpture of bike parts, of bike frames.
It's going to be a couple hundred bike frames that are welded together by the artist Drew Evans in Marion, Iowa. He does some incredible sculptures with used bike parts, and so it'll be an archway to our magical shop. And this rainwater harvested bike wash system, it's going to be an 800-gallon tank.
Wow.
So that we can wash the thousands of bikes that we get annually, and then also water all the new green space that we're putting in.
Amazing. And you're going to make room if, more than 1,000 bikes show up with their people. You're going to make room.
We'll make it fit.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And I will say, I got to be in your shop firsthand, and it's an amazing space. I hope that you'll be letting people tour the facility, because it's really, really cool.
Oh yeah, it's always we have an open house policy pretty much all the time, and it is fun to just wander around and look at everything and take in the nostalgia, since we do, work in used bikes, and we have bikes on the floor that are sometimes 100 years old, and we have a $5,000 time trial bike that's for sale.
Wow.
So the whole gamut.
Right. Okay, so I would say, you have a lot of things to be proud of, especially $1 million. Like, that is amazing. Congratulations to both of you.
That's what we need in order to kind of shift the culture and the paradigm here in Iowa. And what I love about partnering with RAGBRAI is that it's really bringing all of the other community bike shops and us together so that we can share best practices and talk to each other about what works and what doesn't in our own communities. And we're going to be on RAGBRAI just talking up the community bike shop culture and how to potentially start one in your own community, because each community that has a community bike shop, it looks different because there are different needs based on the community. We don't have clean water in Iowa. We don't have mountains. We have lost we've lost 99% of the original landscape. But we make the most of it, and we have fun on bikes. And we believe that bicycling can, definitely be something that Iowans can make the most of in our state, like RAGBRAI does every year. So we have some big visions for how biking can impact our state, whether it's tourism or just getting out in your own community.
Right. Yeah, if you don't own a bike or a car, you're pretty much dependent on either a community, like a bus service, or walking. So having a bike increases, where you're capable of going by a lot.
And there's dusty bikes in every single garage across the country, especially across Iowa. I know that throughout my childhood, we always had bikes, and what a community bike shop does is make it possible to get those bikes out on the road again. Get out for mechanic work, mentorship, and learning. It's just a great way to bring people together, get people moving. There's so much potential.
Agreed. And I have to give you guys both a shout out, because when I've been interviewing other community bike shops, both Evan at the CR Bike Hub and Rob at the Dubuque Bike Coop gave you guys some major shout outs, saying that they look to your facility, to try and figure out their own. They've talked to you guys. It sounds like if you don't have a big head, you should.
We always prioritize talking with other community bike shops. We have a network called the Think Tank online, and it's all the community bike shops across the nation and across the world that can talk to each other, because community bike shops are not cookie cutter. And a lot of what we do is navigating the challenges and the needs of our communities. And so we're able to talk with each other through whatever it is that we need to do in order to get more people on bicycles.
Is there anything that you do at the bike library that you haven't spoke of yet that like is really cool and you want to make sure we know about it?
We're pretty good about talking about ourselves.
I mean,
after running a capital campaign, we're pretty good at that.
We should mention Farm Cycle for Youth. It's like RAGBRAI, but condensed into one day. It's a 60-mile. It's a gravel ride with multiple different links where we partner local chefs with local farms, and then those chefs create a delicious meal, a little 6-inch plate at each stop. So it's like you're getting the best of RAGBRAI without needing to be out for a whole week. So if after RAGBRAI you're still hungering for more, you can come to the Bike Library's Farm Cycle for Youth on September 20th.
Okay. So you may have already explained this, because my next question is about whether or not the organization is volunteer powered. And I would guess with $1 million campaign that you are wrapping up, there is a little bit of both. So can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. Before that, I'll say one really cool thing that happened in the last year is that we opened up a youth garage.
Ooh.
And so we have a 500 square foot shop that's just for our youth programs, which is really cool. And then, so as far as who's running the organization, we were volunteer powered exclusively for the first 15 years. And then we hired an executive director, and now we have 6 staff and a roster of 200 volunteers.
Wow.
50 volunteers are active any given week. So very, very robust and engaged volunteer base still.
And are you seeking new volunteers?
We're always looking for new volunteers. We ask people to stop by the shop to fill out an application so we can meet you. And then we have a volunteer orientation the second Wednesday of every month at 5:00.
Okay. That's definitely... Oh, go ahead, Kate.
We've also, one of the exciting things this year is that we've developed pretty robust volunteer trainings throughout. So we have Mechanics 1, Mechanics 2, bike coach, retail training. And it's such a great way outside of public bench to get one-on-one mentorship and guidance through simple repairs up to things like truing your wheels, getting more intense as you go along the trainings. So there's so many perks to volunteering. Oh, just one of them being the knowledge that you gain.
And this probably goes without saying because everybody I've interviewed says the same thing, but in addition to working on bikes, you also sell bikes that have been repaired.
We do. We sell, I think we sold about 800, maybe 760 bikes last year and checked out nearly 150, maybe 200 bikes. At this time of the year, they're just flying off the floor. Drew and our other mechanics have done a great job at getting a lot of bikes ready for sale, but it's hard to keep up with all the people looking to bike in the spring.
Sure. Yeah. And we've had some, I guess you call them fake springs, as far as weather goes, where it's so nice. I'm sure people are like, I need to get a bike right now. Audrey, what would you say your opinion is on the future of nonprofit bike collectives?
Well, if Kate and I have anything to do with it, we want to help people understand what our model is for getting money, and building a robust budget that allows community bike shops to pay people to orchestrate the programs and the volunteering. Once we were able to pay people to do the organizing, things really started happening. And each model is different for each community bike shop. But one thing about people who are involved in community bike shops is that they're extremely resourceful, and creative, and they're problem solvers, because every bike is different, and you're always customizing bikes, and you're always figuring out like how to fix something when you don't have all of the new parts and tools and everything. And so from an administrative side, like I am really interested in hopefully being a part of helping people and organizations and new community bike shops or existing ones, like figure out what their revenue streams look like and how to optimize those so that we can have the most impact. Because volunteering is great, but we want this to be like, the bike library is an institution in our community now. And we've had people tell us the reason why they stay in Iowa City is because of the bike library.
Wow, that's cool.
Like, I haven't heard that just once. I hear that actually quite often. And if you do end up moving, a lot of people take what they learned at the bike library and apply that at other community bike shops that they go to wherever they're at. So spreading that knowledge, and joy for learning your own care and repair, goes a long way. But yeah, just helping people to institutionalize using things that we already have, and putting life back into them, giving people the opportunity to explore a sport and a recreation that is like that's low barrier and low cost, because it can be really expensive to get into biking if you are expected to get new things. It can be uncomfortable at first. You really have to it's like, when you go to pick out a saddle, you have to ride the saddle like 10 times before you decide like, oh, this doesn't work for me. I need to try something else. And so just reducing barriers for people, and also making money for the organization. And there's lots of creative ways that we do that here. And we love talking about that with other people.
I mean, I always love to note that Audrey started as the sole employee of the bike library, and in 8 years has brought it to 6 staff and owning a building, concluding $1 million capital campaign. Oh, incredible.
It is so incredible. And I think that I've already heard a couple times while interviewing other bike shops that people look to the Iowa City Bike Library, how you're doing things, and saying, we should do that in this community, or I think we could start a bike library over here. And so, I mean, pat yourselves on the back, you guys.
Yeah, I think having a female running shop too is a really good way to get a lot more women involved. I'm not always the best teacher, and I do have my moments where I'm the cranky, jaded bike shop person, in which I kind of rely on newer, fresher volunteers to run programs or do some instruction and education and stuff. But I think it creates just a very welcoming environment for 50% of the population to be able to enter into a space that usually is predominantly white male So like getting lots of diverse people in as volunteers and staff, lots of different skill levels is really key to us having more of an impact and raising more money. Because that's what it boils down to, is making sure that we can meet our budget and continue to exist in the future.
Right. And I think everyone who's listened to this podcast is sold on the fact that community bike shops must continue to exist. But looking at your website, will you share with everybody a little bit about your website and how they could donate?
Oh, yeah. So there's many ways to donate to the bike library. I mean, financial donations are always welcome, and there's a link at our website. But also, donated bikes are what power the organization. So we take in about 2,000 donated bikes a year. And if you've got a dusty bike in your garage, we would be glad to refurbish it. You can drop it off anytime and lock it up out front using the locks we provide, or come in during open hours to get a donation receipt as well.
And as far as the capital campaign goes, we have about $40,000 more to raise to get to our $1 million goal. We're at the point in the campaign where we're asking people to pitch in small amounts of money. So on our website, we do have a capital campaign landing page, and we've done all of the heavy lifting behind the scenes, getting the big donations. And now, we're asking people to either make a one-time donation or pledge a certain amount around, like $1,200 is our lowest naming opportunity we have. So if you pledge $1,200, that's $28 a month for the next 3 years, or making a one-time donation of $100. All of those little donations are going to be what help us to cross the finish line in June.
It's a race. It's a race to June 13th.
All right. I have no doubt that you are going to achieve and surpass that goal.
And an investment in the bike library is an investment in the future of nonprofit bike shops in Iowa, because we intend it to be a ripple effect.
Yeah. So icbikelibrary.org is the website. And I can't thank you guys enough for coming back on the podcast. I love the excitement level that you guys both exude, almost every time I talk to you.
Yes, we put the fun in fundraising, and that is one thing that people aren't always that excited about, but we do love the fundraising part of it, because it means more people get to have fun out in the community on their bikes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you both so much for coming on the podcast. And we're excited to see what happens before June.
All right. I guess we'll see you on RAGBRAI, Murph.
That's right. For sure.
All right. Thanks.
Well, listeners, that is it for today. We want to thank you for tuning in to listen to the Just Go Bike podcast. If you would like to contact Murph and AP with a comment about the podcast, or maybe even you have a topic in mind, you can reach us at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and watch our intros on YouTube. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. That is going to do it for this week. Until next time,
Just go bike.
Theme song by Ryan Steer, logo by Suzanne Milosevic, produced by Kathy Murphy, social media by Andrea Parrott, intro by Pumpkin. Until next time, just go bike.